Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. I want to share something with you that hopefully will open up your mind to understand something that's often discussed but even more frequently misunderstood, and that's the law of attraction. I hear people talking about the law of attraction all the time, the law of attraction, the law of attraction. One of the problems that we have when we look to engage certain ideologies, philosophies, ideas, and even realities is we tend to view them superficially. We tend to take them without examination, without investigation, without really truly gaining a lucid perspicacity of what is actually in front of us so that we can gain a true idea of how to navigate through it, with it, above it, whatever the need may be. And so I remember when the documentary The Secret hit, everybody was jumping on it. It's nothing new. It comes from the School of New Thought, which started roughly toward the mid 1800s and found its way into the eyes and minds of people like Dr. Wallace D. Waddles, who wrote The Science of Getting Rich in 1906, Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich in the 1930s, and on. Some of the people that I've studied immensely: Earl Nightingale, Bob Proctor, Zig Ziglar, and on down the line, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, Les Brown. I could go on and on about the people who have studied the law of attraction and used the principles of the law of attraction, but they all have gained a lucid understanding and perspicacity of course, this would happen right when I'm trying to do what I'm doing. Okay, there's going to be noise outside. They would pull up right when I'm shooting the video. But anyway, basically what I want to get you to understand is the law of attraction is not some magic wand that you can wave over life and then start pointing out what you want off of your wish list. What you have to understand that is you cannot truly operate or use the law of attraction without understanding what governs the law of attraction, and that are the 7 universal laws that govern how we operate, that were put in place by the grand designer, the great creator. How you refer to him is up to you, whether you call him God, whether you call him the universe, whether you call him the great supreme being, whatever it is, that you understand that these laws are so governed and so in order that they're unbelievable, especially the first 3, which are immutable. So you're talking about the law of mentalism, the law of correspondence, and the law of vibration. And the law of vibration is extremely important in understanding the law of attraction. The law of vibration says that we operate on frequencies. In other words, our bodies emit energy, and we operate on frequencies. When we are operating on low frequencies, we're dealing with emotional realities such as sadness, frustration, stress, anger, hatred, envy, jealousy. All of these negative emotions exist at a low frequency. And the thoughts that are produced in these low frequencies are seeds. Thoughts are, and we can look and understand why thoughts are important by understanding the first and most powerful universal law, which is the law of mentalism. Everything is the origination of a thought. I outlined this in a book that I recently published called Your Mind is the Genesis of Your Destiny. Your mind generates thoughts. Your thoughts are seeds. Those seeds are planted in the soil of your existence and your reality. And with that in mind, what happens is you end up being a person who sees the cycle of planting and harvest come, and these circumstances, which are the actual harvest, throw you for a loop and you don't understand it. You start to ask questions. Why me? Well, you're only realizing and living in the reality you created through the thoughts. No matter what you look at, no matter how you gauge it up, whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, whether you're a Buddhist, whether you're atheist, there's some scope of understanding that tells you that as I think, so am I. And so you're creating your reality by what you think. So in the law of mentalism, I understand that if I'm operating in a low frequency, I'm creating negative thoughts. And those negative thoughts are ultimately being planted in my mind and will eventually be harvested in my life as a reality. And so that's negative. So I can talk all day about the law of attraction. I can say what I want and I can speak it. But the one thing the law of attraction is about achieving homeostasis, which is this equilibrium or harmony with the universe, with oneself, and the connectivity of the two. You can't be in a negative state and be in harmony with something that's positive. That is in contrast. That is in conflict. It's impossible. So you can only attract that which you are at the moment. Who you are and what you are is what you get. So if you want to change your reality, it's not about your chants. It's not about your affirmations. It's not about what you speak. It's about understanding that the law of attraction is actually something that is about being in harmony with the universe, operating in high frequencies in which you are now able to produce a high level of thinking, high thoughts, high expectations. And so again, God will never meet you at a level above your expectations. And if you are functioning in a low frequency and a low vibration, there's the law of vibration, which is the last immutable law. And when you talk about the law of vibration again speaks to spiritual frequency. And when you're in a low frequency, you can only produce certain thoughts that are within the scope and the realm of who you are and what you are and how you're thinking at that moment. So in order to change your frequency, you've got to change your thinking and purposely move out of a low frequency. But when you're in that low frequency, all you're getting is that. What you will find is that when you start to operate at a higher frequency, you will become inoculated to a lot of the negativity that's moving along in those low frequencies, because you're functioning at a frequency and a vibration that they cannot impact you. You were designed by God to function this way. You're designed by God to respond to the universe this way. There's a book called entitled The Alchemist. And The Alchemist, the entire book is about setting your mind and your desire on something. And then once you believe that you can have it, going after it. And once you believe that you can have something, that's your expectation. That's your anticipation. That's your faith. Once you believe you can have something, you begin to move toward it, meaning that there's something produced within you, in your body, in your mind, in your very being, in the aura that you produce, that says that you can have what it is that you desire in your mind. That's faith. Faith is not some arbitrary, ambiguous idea. Faith is something very specific that produces something highly specific in the way of results. So when I'm starting to think about who I am and what I want, and then I determine that there's something inside of me in the way of giftedness, in the way of genius, in the way of design that says I can have it, then I start to move toward it very naturally. I immediately apply massive action to those things that I believe I can have. Massive action is a major part of receiving those things that I want. See, if I say I want it, but I truly don't believe I can have it, there will be no massive action applied. Nobody goes out and works hard for something they never think they're going to get. So, in first thing, I've got to have my mind aligned with what it is I want. I can't have expectations of good things operating on a low vibration. That's why the law of attraction doesn't work with a bunch of you. It's because you're functioning on a low vibration. You're waiting on the next bad thing to happen every day you get up. You just got this negative mindset. You're not really truly looking at things. You see everything from the mindset of a victim. So when you get up, you're expecting nothing but negativity, so you think nothing but negativity. You plant the seeds of the very thing you're trying to avoid, and when they harvest, you are dealing with it. And what's so crazy is the harvest reinforces your expectations. So the more that you plant the seeds, the more negative harvests come, the more you become negative. You've got to pull yourself out of that mindset. Now that's the first set. So pulling yourself out of that mindset, creating these positive thoughts. Now here's the second reason why people don't get it. You cannot have a way of thinking that is diametrically opposed to a certain behavior that someone is giving you to do to achieve something and get the results you're looking for. I'm going to give you a prime example. I counsel people in a number of different areas. One area I counsel people in the area of relationships. Guy comes to me, a client a couple of years ago, comes to me and says, hey, look, man, my marriage is really suffering. I don't want to lose my wife. I need you to help me. What can I do? Well, we sit down and we talk for a while, and what I found out is he's the sole provider. She's a housewife. And so he has this mindset, since I provide, there are some things in my life that I just deserve to do. And one of the things he thought he deserved to do was go out at least 4 times a week with his guys after work to have a guy night out. He wasn't cheating, he wasn't doing anything, but he wasn't giving his wife quality time. He wasn't putting her in a position of priority. He was sitting up and he had lost sight of her relevance, of her importance, of who she was in the relationship. And because he was doing what as a man he should be doing anyway, as being a provider, he thought that allotted him or afforded him some sense of freedom in how he would carry himself. And I told him, I said, the first thing you got to do is you got to tell your boys you'll holler at them maybe once a month. 2 or 3 times, 4 times a week is absolutely ridiculous. That time belongs to you, your wife, your family. You need to be building. You need to be investing in your family, investing in yourself. You're going to have to not only go home after work, you're going to have to invest yourself in what's happening at home. You're going to have to invest yourself in the security of your wife's emotions. You're going to have to do all of these things in order to really and truly connect with her and get her to trust you. And so he said, okay, I'll do it. Well, about 2 months later, he comes back and he sits down. He's frustrated. He's hot. He's ready to tear into me. He's like, man, I'm doing all that stuff that you said doing. I come home every day. I sit down. I help her with the kids. I do stuff around the house. I take her out for date night every week. We doing all that stuff you said. And it's still not working. She's still ticked off. She's not happy. And so we got to talking. And again, what I found is exactly why it didn't work. And this is why the law of attraction isn't working for you. You're doing what someone has told you you need to do to get something. But in your mind, your very philosophy and ideologies don't align. This is what was happening. He was doing what I told him to do, but still in his mind, he harbored the idea that because he was the provider, he had a right to go out and hang with his boys. So what happened is he's doing what he's told to do, but he's doing it from a position of frustration. He's doing it begrudgingly. He's doing it out of compulsion and not out of willingness. He's not really where he wants to be when he's at home. He's wanting to be with his boys. You don't think his wife can read that? And that's creating the distance and the bitterness and the anger and the frustration that he's seeing in her. So I told him to say, until you get in your mind that your wife's your number one priority, until you get in your mind that it's her that you should be serving, until you get in your mind that it's her that you should be pouring yourself into, you can do everything I tell you to do, but it's not going to produce the results because you're not in homeostasis with the idea. You're not in harmony with the idea. You're not in equilibrium with the idea. That's why it's not working for you, is because you're doing what I'm telling you to do, but your mind is telling you that you should be able to do something differently. So until you come into harmony or homeostasis with exactly what it is you're doing, you'll never get the results you're looking for. We're talking about the law of attraction. You're claiming things, speaking things, saying things, but your mindset is not expecting it. You're saying things, believing things, speaking positive affirmations, but everything about the way you're moving and doing things is not producing the results because you're not in homeostasis with the very thing you're seeking. Until you come into harmony with the things you desire, until you start to think like a person that will get things like that, until you start to behave like a person that will produce things like that, until you start to search yourself and build yourself and educate yourself and start to evolve into the person that will have those type of things. You can speak them all day long. You can only attract what you're in harmony with. When you're in a low frequency, you can't attract anything positive. You can only attract the negative. If you want to attract positive, first you got to evacuate low frequency living in low and functioning in a low vibration. You're going to have to raise your standard of living. Raise the demands you put on yourself. Raise the expectations of what you expect from yourself, from life, and from others. This is how you produce something. You can say all day those positive things. You can speak those affirmations, but until you come in harmony with it, until you come to demand of yourself those things that you want, until you come to demand a state of existence in knowledge, in mentality, in function, until you wake up and prime yourself every morning to expect nothing but the best and be prepared to meet the challenges, understanding that they are grooming you to be the very thing that you desire, to have the very things that you have. I'm going to say this and then I'm going to check out. There's a common saying among motivational, inspirational speakers, life strategists, life coaches. There's this thing that says, until you are willing to go out and do the things that other people are not willing to do, you will never experience life and having the things that other people don't have. You are in the place of average because you're living your life by default. You're living where if you just wake up in the morning and do what everybody else does, you'll get what everybody else gets. Average and mediocre results. If you want exceptional results, if you want phenomenal results, if you want something spectacular and phenomenal, you got to raise your standards. You got to come out of low frequency living. You're going to have to raise your vibration. You're going to have to raise your expectations, and you're going to have to lower your tolerance. Lower your tolerance for excuses. Lower your tolerance for people who bring you excuses. Lower your tolerance for low performances. You are in a position to where there's absolutely nothing impossible. The only limitations that you have are the limitations that you accept within your own mind. So you're going to have to learn how to manage your thoughts. You're going to have to learn how to use your thoughts and your posture, your body posture, to create positive mindsets, a positive state of being. There's this place I call supreme state. A supreme state is where you're functioning. There's no anger, there's no anxiety, there's no worry, there's no stress. There's nothing but expectation, nothing but positive vibration, nothing but knowing that if I just stay the course, there's absolutely nothing in this world that can stop me from reaching my destiny, because my destiny, by its very definition, says that no matter how hard someone or something attempts to stop it, it only ensures that it happens. I'm built for the battle. I'm built for what I'm going through. I'm built for what's coming, and I'm going to make it. That's when you reach that supreme state, when you wake up and you put yourself in that state every morning. It's an intentional state. It's a state that's intentional. You can't just fall into it. You got to wake up and determine that's how you're going to do. That's how you're going to live the day. That's how you're going to move through the day. That's how you're going to move through life. But you do it every day. There's this 90-second rule I have. Things come in life, man. I get bad news. I get frustrated. Things happen. But I got a 90-second rule. The 90-second rule says I got 90 seconds to deal with this and put myself back in a supreme state, because this distraction of frustration is robbing me of power, robbing me of focus, robbing me of fuel. It's diminishing my passion. I've got to get back to a supreme state. It's amazing what you do when you understand what you're doing. The law of attraction is so much more than an idea. It's so much more than an idea. Look, I love you guys. I hope that it's something that you got out of this. It is just a part of my passion to give the world what's been given to me. And I'm sharing it with you. Again, you're warriors. Warriors don't whine. Warriors don't complain. Warriors change things. Warriors adapt. Warriors evolve. Warriors engage. And that's what you are. There's actually some free lock screen backgrounds for your smartphones. I'm coming up with some for your desktop and laptop computers. But you can go to the link that's on this video. Go and click it. You can read the Warrior's Creed while you're there, and scroll to the bottom and find one of those backgrounds and put it on your smartphone. That's the thing you pick up and look at more than you look at anything else during the day. Have it remind you of who you are, what you are, why you're in the game. You're exceptional. You're phenomenal. You're extraordinary. You're great. But you've got to start living it. You've got to start expecting it. You've got to regroup. Like I said, I live my life on full so that I can die on E. I encourage you to do the same thing. I'm out of here. Peace.